recipes in your own posts online. Um, so an example like this, you can highlight the recipes. You just want to make sure it's a reputable recipe from, MIFMA, MSU Extension. There's a lot of different places you can get the seasonality recipes. And I also want to highlight Taste the Local Difference seasonality guide. So if you are looking to schedule posts in advance around recipes or in-season items, this is a great tool to get ahead of what might be available at the farmers market for each month here in Michigan. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And with that, I will pass it over to Erica from Taste the Local Difference to share um, a little bit about their marketing strategies.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I was just grabbing the link on our page too. We have the recipes and then also our crop spot page too. So we have tons, and MIFMA often shares them in their newsletter, which I know you all just sent out your newsletter, and that is what I'm going to be talking about. So let's get into it. Okay. Let me get my little chat up. All right. I know in the breakout we were talking a bit about newsletters too, so this is great. So a little bit about Taste the Local Difference before we dive in, just in case you're not familiar with us. So we are now in our 22nd year, and we are a local food marketing agency that specializes in effective strategies for agriculture, food, and beverage producers, and also the organizations that support those folks. So farmers markets and anything else that is adjacent to the world of food systems. But we love working with farmers markets and we love working with MIFMA. And we really believe in uplifting these types of businesses in order to tell their stories, find loyal customers, and build successful, well-connected businesses because we believe that thriving, vibrant food systems are really the backbone of thriving, vibrant communities. And a little bit about me, I'm the director of impact here. So I have a very unique role. I'm not actually helping to like implement any of the marketing services, with the exception of doing teaching like this. I love teaching, but I'm not like building websites or doing anything like that. That is other people on the team. But I work with a lot of our impact partners like MIFMA to help do things like this. So, different like teaching partnerships or other ways that we can partner with organizations and food systems folks to help them with their marketing. And I have also been a farmer myself and worked in food systems a long time. And I've been an entrepreneur. And before I came to TLD, I had my own business as a consultant, and I was helping entrepreneurs with their sales and marketing strategy. So this is fully all in my wheelhouse, and I could yap about it all day long. So we're going to cover fundamentals of newsletters for farmers market specifically, some social media essentials, and then some other marketing assets that help with turnout and sales at the market. So, first up, some best practices to make email marketing more effective. First, really important to have a consistent schedule, whatever that looks like for you. It's totally fine if this needs to ebb and flow throughout the year, depending on your market schedule as well. It definitely does not need to be the same all throughout, but it is really good to have a consistent schedule even in the winter, if you don't have an existing market in the winter, you could still periodically just send an email just to, like be in touch with people, just be top of mind and get them excited about when the market's coming back. Also, grow and maintain an email list, use segmentation and personalization. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what all these things are. Craft compelling subject lines and quality content, use templates for consistency and to save time, and use templates for consistency and to save time. So first up with consistency, kind of like I was already saying, setting that manageable schedule as you already did in that exercise. It's great with anything, whether it is newsletters, social media, any other like element of your marketing, even if that is like hanging flyers around town or event promo or whatever. Just know, what is going to be the schedule, when are you going to do it, who is going to do it, etc. Make sure that is clearly communicated across the team, even if you are just a team of one. Make sure that you have a plan, that it is a sustainable plan, and that you actually implement the plan and modify as needed. If you have bit off more than you can chew, you can always modify it, but again, try to be consistent. It is also helpful to send out your newsletter a day or two before each market, just to give people enough of a heads up to know what to expect and to remind them that it's happening and to get them excited. But you may also have occasional special event announcements too. And again, make sure that you have a separate plan for those, because in case somebody misses like your one and only, let's say, weekly email, and it's something that you really want to highlight, just make an extra plan for some other ways to help promote that. So when we're talking about growth and maintenance, you want to make sure that you have everything set up both in person and online so that people can join your newsletter. So have all your tech um, on your website, and then also, anything in person ready to go to make it easy peasy. And also be sure that if you do have staff that would be interfacing with any of this, either digital or in person, that they are trained on it too. And then every season, you're going to go through your list of people who aren't opening emails in your email marketing platform, and you're going to delete them off, like you're going to get rid of them. And this will help keep your open rate strong. Your email marketing software, if it is noticing that like a lot of folks are not opening, it will start to decrease your deliverability. And so it's totally fine to clean up that list from time to time. In order to get signups very easily, there are some things that you can do that we recommend. iPads are really great, or digital tablets. You can, obviously have paper forms. A lot of people do that. When I was farming and when I worked for a farm many years ago, we had a clipboard. Obviously, that's very like low cost, very easy setup. You don't have to worry about theft or anything, but people's handwriting is not the best. And then it's an extra step that you have to bring it home with you and then input it manually. If you have some sort of tablet, you can just have the page pulled up right there and people can do it and then it's done. You can also have QR codes like the one you see on the screen here, where people can just scan it with their smartphone and then do it on their own digital device. But just make sure that your opt-in pages on your site are mobile friendly so that it is all formatted correctly when they do that. Make sure they're also displayed prominently on your website. So this could be like your website footer. You could have it in a pop-up. You could have it in an embedded form. You could have it in all three. And then if you have any like e-commerce or other tech, so think about like event sign up platforms or anything, if those have the capabilities to integrate with your email marketing platform, be sure to do that, or have an extra like check box that people can select to be added to your email list. So when they sign up for an event, then you can just, manually migrate them over. And also just make sure that, as you're engaging with people, let's say as people are getting market tokens or something, even if you have signage everywhere, people don't always see signage. So just, make sure that they know like, hey, do you get our newsletter? And if not, then get them signed up. Now, if you are going to personalize, segment and personalize, which I highly recommend, you are going to need an email marketing software. otherwise called an EMS, versus general email platforms like a Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, etc. This is going to be like the most sort of tech uh, complex portion of this training. But don't worry, I'm going to walk you through what this all means. You're going to need forms that capture first names when people opt in, so you can use personalization tags on emails and segmented audience categories for more tailored broadcasts. So, what is segmentation? Segmentation simply divides an audience into smaller groups based on shared characteristics and behaviors. And the goal is really to create targeted messaging and build stronger connections, which is something that obviously, as farmers market managers, is a goal of yours, right? It's also going to improve those open rates and engagement rates, which will lead to greater market attendance, participation, and sales. More of what we want, right? So this is a visual that I made for last year. I spoke at the Intense Farmers Market Conference. There were several folks from the MIFMA team who were also there to present, and I was talking all about email marketing. So I made this example form right here. And this is a sign up form that has drop down options with different markets or other variables. So I did from the show Parks and Recreation, the fictitious towns of Pawnee and Eagleton. Have it selected so that if somebody were signing up here, they could select, first name and email address, and then like let's say if this was like a farmer at a farmer's market that like went to two different farmers markets, their customers could select which market that they shop at. You could also have first name, email address, zip code, right? Or anything else that is relevant to your market. Now, you don't want to overly stuff this with a million things because then people are going to be like, that's a lot of stuff, and then they won't want to sign up, right? But just, a few different things on there as a way to help you better divide out emails that you send is really great. This could also be if you have, let's say, a weekend market and like a weekday market. You could also have something in there that's like, which market do you typically shop at? Like Saturday morning, Wednesday afternoon, or like I come to both, right? You could have a few different options. Now, on some platforms, they will put everyone into one list and then you would segment, while others make you have different lists. Neither is better or worse necessarily. There's just different elements of different EMS platforms. So in this one, this segment is set up for the weekly newsletter that is going to members of a specific market. So this would be if you're creating a segment for your market newsletter, and this is going specifically to the people who live in Pawnee. So it's everyone who subscribed to that form on the previous slide, so the name of the form. And then they have the tag that looks like a little gift tag of Pawnee. So this is the name of the list. It's their segment tag. And then what's good about this is that it is going to allow you, so in that example of like Wednesday versus Saturday or both, if you have special info, like let's say there's going to be something weird happening with parking on like the Wednesday market, right? And you need to just send out that info to those people. You could just send that out in that one and like not need to worry about it to the people who get the Saturday one. So it just allows you to send more relevant email to the right folks. You can segment by sign up origin. So, kind of like I already said, typical Saturday market, or was it a special event or a volunteer day? You could have different lists or different tags for these different things. That way, let's say if it was an event or a volunteer day, and then you have another similar thing like that coming up, you could always open sort of like a early bird thing to them first. You could send an email to them first, see if you fill it. And then if you do, you don't need to broadcast it to everyone else. If you don't, then you can broadcast it to everyone else. And you can also do type of subscriber. So farmers market, organization, vendor, media, market goer, etc. And we're going to walk through an example of doing this. So in our fake scenario here, this Saturday, your market is going to be a little bit different because you have a special guest musician. They need some extra space for their band to get set up. And you want a lot of event attendees, but you also want your vendors to be prepared for how it might change their day. So, what you can convey to each audience. So, as in the last segment where you're talking about like farmer profiles or vendor profiles and creating little bios in their application form, one thing you could do is like as you're collecting applicant info is you could set them up in your EMS and tag them as, oh, they are a vendor. And that way you could have one list just for vendors. So when you're sending out any info that just needs to go to vendors, you can more easily send that just to your vendor list, right? So here's what we're going to do. For your market goers, you are going to focus on hyping the event. You're going to talk about why they need to be there. You're going to give all the pertinent details and manage expectations. So maybe you have to shift the layout a little bit. So you're going to give them a heads up about that, maybe include like a modified market map for them. Now, for your vendor list, it's going to be all informational. Focus on how the change affects them. So, the new layout, any accommodations, when to expect any more like follow up or details, but then also give them ideas for how to make more sales on that day, right? So, sometimes they might be like, oh man, like this is frustrating or whatever. So instead, also offer like, here's how you can use it to your advantage and get them really excited. And again, thank them, for understanding as well, because you know that it may disrupt their day, it may be a little extra work, all of those things, you want to send that directly to them. Now, if you have partner orgs, local area orgs, different folks like that, in this category might also be like if you have local elected officials or anything like that that you would want to be reaching out to, you're going to be sending them a special invite or an announcement, encourage them to spread the word about the event, and you may even offer something to them to have like help them get more people to the market on that day. So again, that is just going to get more visibility on your market and also more business for your vendors. And then lastly, with media, this could be a press release that you write and then you send to them that is all about details and helps them spread the word. You're going to want to provide photos, your logos, like interviews, anything that is relevant to help them to promote. Next up, we have, let's see, content. So subject lines and content. So it's really important to think about crafting compelling subject lines and content so that people actually open the emails. Also providing valuable information that people want to read. So some examples are like recipes, behind the scenes, what you'll find at the market that week, vendor highlights. A lot of this stuff actually was mentioned from the breakout session, which is really, really great, right? Any of these things, like when you think about a farmer's market, and I know one of the attendees mentioned that their boss wanted them to just have AI like write everything, right? But it felt really impersonal, so they didn't want to do it. And I wanted to call that out specifically because I think, when we think about farmers market, part of the joy of a farmers market is getting to go to the farmers market. It's getting to have that personal connection and that personal touch. So this is going to extend through all of your marketing as well, right? People want to read a farmers market newsletter and have it feel like an extension of that in-person experience. So you want it to have that same personal feel and not be like a stale corporate email. So anything that kind of has that vibe is going to be really great. And this is also a great opportunity to collaborate with folks, just like we did in the breakout sessions. There were a lot of great ideas just from talking to people who've been doing it a bit longer. You get ideas, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? So here are three examples, and want you to think about which is most compelling and informational. So these are all about a market on June 29th. So the bottom is just market 629. Very just straightforward. This would be like, if you're just like emailing somebody some just quick info that is maybe like in your office or something like that, right? Next one, come to the farmer's market. It's a little bit better, but it's not quite there. The last one, Michigan Farmers Market 629, Garlicscapes, Dueling Banjos, and more. Now that one you're like, okay, all right, I'm gonna check that out. So this is a scrolling one here that is a really good example. I know it's going really fast, but this is a templated email that is highlighting some events, a market map, form of payment, all these things, right? So the subject line is peas, pride, and products. Very enticing. It's got those shopper insights, vendor with seasonal produce, event highlights, new vendor spotlights, plenty of CTAs, which are the calls to action, and your buttons, all the forms of payment, market FAQ, special offer, sponsor thank yous, etc. And so these are some really, you don't, if you're like, I don't, that's more than I have time for or have info for, that's, you don't have to do all that, but just something good to like keep in mind, right? And note that they use the actual like button features in the template, which I'm going to show you another template in a second. So this is for a farm. Actually, half of our team was on this farm yesterday filming some content, which was really cool. Um, so this is a design template. So that green button there, it stands out more than just like a hyperlinked, text that goes to a URL. And going back to what Lisa was saying, this is a really great place when you have your brand to create that template to speed it up. It's going to speed up your marketing time because we all know, like, even marketers don't want to spend their whole life marketing. Um, but it's going to speed up your time. Also, for those of you who are maybe in the earlier stages and you're hoping to get this to a point where you can like hand off and delegate in a bit, this will make it a lot easier to be able to delegate because it's already going to have a framework that you can show people just like plug in these different elements into these sections of the template. But it's also going to have that brand consistency all throughout. So wherever people engage with your market, it's going to have that same look and feel all throughout. So just make sure that you have, all of these essential items in there: logo, website link, social media links, address, contact info. You would probably also want to have like your market hours too. And then don't forget to include those strong CTAs. And again, CTA stands for calls to action. Now we're migrating over to social media here. So speaking of branding, you're going to want to make sure that this is all cohesive on the social media side. So wherever you are, make sure that you've got that logo and those like, high quality photo. If the platform has space for a banner image, like on how Facebook or LinkedIn do, make sure it's a nice high quality photo. Make sure that you are utilizing all of the space in the bio. Please put location. Please put hours. Please put a link to your website or whatever you're using as a like a website in the interim if you don't have one yet, right? Make sure you are using all of that info. Don't make people have to hunt around because it's very frustrating on the consumer side of things. So make it as easy as possible for people. When thinking about that bio, what you can do is just, think of the like when you were in school, the who, what, when, where, why, and how kind of a thing. You keep it really simple. Who are you? what you do, where you do it, keep it aligned with those brand values, as was mentioned earlier, right? If you have a like a motto, a mission, anything like that that makes sense to weave in here, feel free to weave that in, absolutely. And make sure again, it's very location specific. You may have to tinker around with this to get stuff to fit in the character limitations, and it's not always the same exactly from platform to platform. But the good news is like once you get it, it can stay for a little while. So you just have to kind of get it once and then keep it until maybe like your seasonal hours change. And then lastly, don't shy away from analog. So when you're thinking about other marketing assets, again, brand kit, like everything goes back to that brand kit. So think about posters, flyers, postcards, any of those things. Make sure that you could also put QR codes that go to your website on here, but be sure to also write out the actual URL. Um, so that people can see, if they don't scan it right then and there, they may want to just know like what is the URL, or if they don't have a smartphone or whatever the case, make sure you have both, but also make sure that it is branded, it's cohesive, it's not like overly cluttered. Make sure things look nice. You can also create some templates for different things, again, to speed up your marketing workflows, create some templates. And then that way you can and you could create some different like variations of templates and then just swap in details as you go throughout the season. And then think about, places where you could put them as long as they're allowed, go forth and stick them up places where your ideal customer spends times like co-ops and natural grocery stores, gyms and yoga studios, daycares and schools, wellness centers, cafes and public bulletin boards, your library, etc. You probably have more ideas. Feel free to put them in the chat. But yeah, there's, don't be shy about hanging things up around town. And then you can also leverage the power of all of your vendors. So if you have digital versions of any print materials, you don't necessarily want to take a flyer that is meant to be giant, and then shrink it down for like Instagram size. That is not great. It will be too hard to read, right? But make a digital version, and then provide your vendors with uh, like a Google Drive folder or Dropbox folder that has some images, and swipe text just means like here's verbiage you can use to help. So if they're sending out email newsletters of their own or posting to their socials, here are some things that they can post to help you spread the word. Make it as easy as possible for them to do that. Ooh, Leanne says local banks invite us to leave flyers. That's awesome. Um, and Mary, I'll answer your question in just one second. And then don't forget about local media for visibility. This could be free or paid. So think about your local radio or free weekly paper. Or, even if you have, like, I know local TV segments is listed on there. But think about like, some places have a morning show, an afternoon show, a 24-hour like local news station, all of these things. These are places where they need content, right? They need things to feature, to talk about, that are goings on in the community. So reach out and pitch yourself and see if you can have them feature you. And then also local blogs and podcasts, especially if they are in niche things, like if there's, a parenting micro influencer on social media and you are having an event, see if you could get a hold of them in enough lead time, and if it makes sense, and you can collaborate and have them highlight your event, whatever it is, to hopefully get more folks out. And we at TLD have, just for in state, with Michigan only, we have folks that, or we have options that for low cost paid media within the state. And I'm almost at time. So this is your marketing plan checklist. So this is a free resource. I know Kelly has the URL. You can scan this, but if you're already on your phone, Kelly has the URL as well. And then, oh, good, I have 3 minutes. Okay, perfect. So let me scroll back up and I will see. So the URL is in the chat. So Mary asked, speaking of personalization, is it actually helpful to have the name generic in the email announcements? So nowadays, it's very common in email marketing platforms, and I'm just going to skip ahead here so you can see my email there and our site if you want to check out our other resources or get in touch with me if you have any other questions after. Um, it's very common. Most will have a thing that says like first name, like as you're building it out, you just click a thing that it'll auto populate the tag of like first name. And sometimes like if somebody hasn't given you their first name, it might be blank, or you could put in something else that's like, hey there, or hi there, or something. It's just pretty standard now that people are used to having their name in there. So it's just a good practice to have it be personalized. Again, if you truly don't have it, it's fine. Like I wouldn't not email somebody simply because I don't have their name. But if you do have their name, it is good to use that option in your email marketing system. But yeah, definitely if you think of anything else, we have tons of other marketing resources that are free on localfoodmarketing.com. Just go to the resources tab. And if you think of anything else or you're curious about any of the like in-state media or anything, any other services or resources that we have, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm always happy to help. I'm going to stop sharing there.
Thank you so much, Erica and Lisa and Lori, for your presentations, and thank you all for attending. That concludes our webinar for this evening. I believe you have one more on Monday, and then you're done.